Torture was still going on. How did you know it?
My brother was released from jail perhaps a week before I saw you. There were torture marks all over his body. The physical torture went on, and the psychological torture was worse than physical torture. My own brother, a political prisoner, was taken once to this dark room and shown the mangled bodies of a few persons, and he was told that relatives of his, including his brother, including his mother and his father, were among the corpses. And he was instructed to identify them. So he spent hours and hours and hours trying to decide whether this stump of a head, this mashed pulp of a face, belonged to his brother, to his mother.
You mean you?
Yes. And this was a deliberate lie, but he didn't know. So through a series of psychological tortures, as His Majesty said, they drove him crazy, insane, and he came out. Thousands and thousands of dollars went into his treatment, and even now I can't say that he is a complete human being.
New Year's Eve, said Samgabadi, his brother was seized with another fit, and he brought him to a mental hospital close to the Shah's palace.
And a doctor there told me that 70% of our cases are SAVAK tortured people. It is 1978, about 2 years, perhaps 15 months after your talk with the Shah and after his claim that torture is not going on.
Max McCarthy, three-term Democratic congressman, now Washington bureau chief of the Buffalo News, was press officer at the American Embassy in Tehran in '76. He had put me in touch with Samgabadi.
Raji Samgabadi told us about his brother. Did you know the brother?
I did.
And?
He was in prison, tortured, and I saw him afterward, and the poor guy was just a walking dead man. I mean, he was a zombie.
As a result of torture at the hands of SAVAK.
Right.
Filmed secretly, the political prison of Evin. Its cells and torture chambers buried underground. One girl was sent there for owning a copy of the Thoughts of Mao Zedong. For months they asked her a single question. Who gave you the book?
They started to torture me. About half an hour after my arrest. So they started to torture me. They tortured me that night about 4 or 5 hours, something like that. And I didn't tell them the name. And tomorrow afternoon, again they tortured me. They flog. And after flog, they made me to walk and run around the place they have. And they hang me from a ceiling. They shock with electric shock.
They hung you from the ceiling?
Yeah, by the hand, by the wrist. Yeah.
How, with your hands above your head?
Yeah, you know, they tie, especially.
But there is no opposition to the regime, except those who are the terrorists. Yes, we have them.
You're saying that there's no opposition. I know you've been frequently questioned about allegations of torture practiced by your secret police, and I must ask you this because it does concern Americans. Could I refer to an article in the Sunday Times which describes an instrument of torture called the hot table, which is said to be used by SAVAK, and they say that it's an iron frame covered with wire mesh that's electrically heated like a toaster, and prisoners would be strapped to the table while it was heated until it became red hot. Do you have any comment to make on that? I mean, it's terrifying allegation.
Is it really something that you will ask in a television interview from a responsible man like me?
Well, yes, I think you're precisely the person I should ask about it.
It's so rubbish that I'm not even going to bother to answer to you.
The article also referred to the trial of an engineer who was tried, and the trial was attended by a couple of French lawyers, and they say that this man showed them the scars.
Where?
From such a table, here in Tehran.
Where were the scars? Where?
On his back and on his chest.
You can scratch yourself very easily.
No, the lawyers said, alleged.
The lawyers, which kind of lawyers? Really, honestly, never heard anything like this. But you are really exaggerating. This is not serious, this kind of interview. I'm not going to answer to you anymore.
Fine. Well, perhaps we could go on to something
No,
else.
I'm finished.
Oh, please, Your Majesty.
I'm finished with
Don't you
you.
think
It's
we
ridiculous.
must ask you this sort of thing?
No?
Well, can I ask you about your personal sense of mission, which you
I'm not going to
obviously
answer
have?
to you anymore.
You're so used to these questions.
Not from...
Don't you think that it's